Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving deep into the hidden world of AI watermarking. And I'll tell you right now, the truth is not what you think. This isn't about some kind of invisible ink. It's about statistics, secret keys, and a really, really clever kind of digital fingerprinting. Okay, let's get into it. So let's start with what most of us probably assumed, just like the author of our source material here. The idea was that AI companies are secretly sticking invisible characters into their text. Like a little ghost in the machine that lets them track where the text came from. It's a great story, but it's not the real one. Now, take a look at these two sentences. On the screen, they look completely 100% identical. You could stare at them all day and swear there's no difference. But there's a tiny hidden detail here that tricked a lot of people and made that whole invisible character theory seem true for a minute. And here was the trick. The space wasn't just a space. One sentence used your normal everyday keyboard space, while the other used a special non-breaking space. But, as it turns out, this was just a weird bug. It was a total red herring. The real watermarking method is so much more clever and has nothing to do with character tricks. The fact that the weird spaces were just a bug actually made things way more interesting. It left everyone asking, okay, if it's not some kind of secret character, then how on earth are they doing it? Well, the real method is way more subtle, and it's built right into how the AI actually thinks. The real technique is called probabilistic word choice biasing. Now that sounds super complicated, I know, but the idea behind it is pretty simple. Instead of changing the letters or spaces, the watermark just gently nudges the AI's word choices. This creates a kind of statistical fingerprint, a pattern you'd never notice just by reading it, but one that a machine that knows the secret can spot from a mile away. Probably the best way to wrap your head around this is to think of a loaded die, right? If you roll it once, it seems totally random. But if you roll it 100 times, a clear pattern starts to show up. One number just keeps coming up way more than it should. The AI watermark is exactly like that. A single word choice looks totally normal, but across a whole article, a statistically weird pattern of choices starts to pop out. So how does this fingerprint actually get put in there? Well, it's a four-step process that happens lightning fast for every single word the AI writes. First, a secret key and the word right before it get mashed together. That creates a unique green list of words the AI should favor for the very next spot. Then the AI gets this tiny little nudge, a small boost in probability to pick a word from that green list. And finally, it makes its choice, which on its own still feels completely natural. Okay, so the watermark is in there. It's woven right into the fabric of the AI's vocabulary. But how does a detector find such a faint statistical signal buried inside a totally normal-looking paragraph? Well, you basically just run the whole process in reverse. The detector needs to have the exact same secret key. With that key, it reads the text and rebuilds all the green lists that would have been created. Then it just counts how many words in the text actually came from those preferred lists. And if that number is just way, way too high to be a coincidence, boom, you found the watermark. What's really cool is seeing how this compares to something rigid, like a blockchain hash. A hash is deterministic. You change one single letter and the entire proof shatters. This watermark, though, is probabilistic. That means it's resilient. You can do some light editing, change a few words here and there, and while the signal might get weaker, it's probably not going to disappear completely. You'd have to seriously rewrite the whole thing to erase that fingerprint. And this number right here is the smoking gun. The detector calculates what's called a z-score. When that score gets high enough, like this 5.2 here, the odds that a human just happened to write that exact sequence of green list words by pure chance drops to practically zero. It's a mathematical confession. So this is obviously an incredibly powerful tool for companies trying to spot AI-generated text out in the wild. But it immediately makes you wonder, right? Can we flip this around? Can I use this technology to prove my own authorship, especially if I'm using AI to help me write? And the short answer is yes, you absolutely can. But there's a pretty big catch. You can't just go ask a public service like ChatGPT to use your personal secret key. To do this, you've got to take matters into your own hands and run an open source AI model right on your own computer. So what's the recipe for that? Well, you start with a good open source model. Then you attach this special tool. It's called a watermark legits processor. You feed it your own secret key, one that only you have, and the result? You can now generate text that carries your unique, mathematically verifiable signature. So it all comes down to this really elegant two-part system. The generate process uses your key to create the green lists and nudge the output. And the detect process uses that exact same key to rebuild those lists and spot the nudge. They're two sides of the very same cryptographic coin. But, and this is a huge but, this entire beautiful system has a weak spot: the tokenizer. That's the part of the AI that chops up text into little pieces it can understand. If the generator and the detector use even slightly different tokenizers, like, say, one thing's a straight quote and a curly quote are different things, the whole detection process can just completely fail. It's that sensitive. So this technology gives us this incredible new tool for proving where text came from in a world that's just flooded with AI content. But it also leaves us with this huge, fascinating question. In an age where literally anyone can generate amazing text and then mathematically sign it as their own, what does the word original even mean anymore?